So at the beginning of the documentary, it says there really wasn't any such thing as a wrecking crew.
Well, I don't know if I want to go that far. I mean, basically, what we're talking about is the name. There's controversy over the name.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really like whether 20 guys, whether 30 people, 10, whatever. And then the other thing is where did the name came from? And you know, a lot of it came up later in years. You know, after Hal wrote his book, a lot of people started to hear more about it. But what you can't deny, it's not about the name, is what these folks did in the studios in the 60s and 70s.
So your dad didn't call it that?
No, I don't think so.
Did he call it anything?
Work. I don't know what he called it. I mean, I always heard the same names. I mean, I always heard Hal and Carol and, you know, all these names were, you know, Joe Osborne and Earl Palmer. I mean, those are names that were flowing through the house all day long.
So finally, the truth is coming out that all the rock and roll fans were being deceived all those years.
Yeah, exactly. That's so funny. I actually got an angry email once.
Really?
Yeah. This guy was, you know, that's the problem with emails. You know, you get one and you go, uh-oh, and I put it in a stalker file. He was angry because he was upset that the Wrecking Crew, these people deceived him. And you know what? As Mickey Dolenz said, people take the rock and roll business way too seriously. You're supposed to have fun with rock and roll. You know, it was a business. You know, no matter what you say, there's music and there's a music business, my father used to say. Sometimes they connect, you know, but that's the way albums were made. It wasn't, you know, I don't think a lot of it was being deceitful. You know, sometimes it was, you know, it's the Milli Vanillis, but they, you know, here's a question. If you liked the song yesterday but found out so-and-so sang instead of so-and-so, why didn't you like it today? It's, you know, it's music. If you like it, you like it.
Yeah. But you know how 15-year-olds are.
No, exactly. I do not know that.
So this was just second nature to you. This is just people coming through the house.
No.
Oh.
No, it was second nature that Dad went to work, but I didn't see anybody. I mean, I knew Hal, you know, I met Hal a few times when I was a kid. But not really, because most of the people, if Dad was gambling at the house, that's when I met him. If they were gamblers, then I'd see him. But no, Dad went to work 12 whatever hours a day, you know, and if he went somewhere else after work or something, but he came home and that was it. I didn't see my father play guitar until the 70s.
Really?
He never brought a guitar. I mean, he had guitars home, but he never played them.
Really? Because it was work.
It was work.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine, you know, coming home after 12, 13 hours of playing music and then wanting to continue?
I can imagine that. I feel that every time I sit down at the computer.
Yeah, I mean, it's true.
Yeah. So, people go to see the documentary on Monday. What can they expect?
Hopefully, they're going to see a lot of...
they're going to be shocked.
They
shocked. Really are.
You know what the greatest compliment I get is when someone's been dragged to the documentary.
Yeah.
Because they expect a documentary, music, and it's like, oh, I really don't want to go to their boyfriend or their husband or their co-workers. And they walk away with, you know, smiles on their faces. You know, the music, you know, it's whatever you could say about the doc, it's great, bad, whatever. It's not about that. That music that these people put together, it brings back instantly where you were. Even if you aren't of that age, maybe your parents were playing, Tijuana Brass, and you remember that album. You know, things like that.
So there's a million. How many? There must be a million tunes in that documentary.
I think 130 songs.
Jeez.
I'm still licensing.
Wow.
So that's one of the reasons why it took so long to get it out. I had to pay off all these licenses. So, like this screening this week and this whole week and all over the upper Northwest, all that money will go to paying off the license and the labels.
And that goes to musicians, huh?
Yep, that too.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
So while all this was going on, what were you listening to?
You know, I had an older brother that was 10 years older, so he was bringing, you know, I was listening to his music because my dad wasn't playing music. He didn't even come home and turn on the music, so my brother was listening to the Beatles and, you know, Paul Revere and the Raiders and, you know, some of the Electric Prunes and stuff, and I didn't realize Dad played on some of that stuff.
Is that right?
Played on Electric Prunes and Mamas and Papas, but I didn't know all that. And he played on Beach Boys, you know, which was playing there, but
So you had the same realization that every other kid did. Except that's my dad.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really get it until much later when I was in the 70s. Realizing the impact that they did.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah. What kind of guy was he?
Oh, he was a great guy. I mean, we had our, son-father
Of
relationship.
course. Yeah.
But the greatest thing is traveling with this film over the last few years is when you meet people that either met him, and it's been all over the world, and they tell you a story of what he did for them or how he treated them. And it's always been, they always talk about him as a person as much as, not as much as the guitar player, because he was a great guitar player, but as a person, that says a lot.
Yeah. Were all of these guys jazz people at heart?
No. I mean, there was some of them, like Glenn, Glenn Campbell and Al Casey.
Yeah.
They were, from the South, Leon Russell.
Yeah.
They came from different backgrounds. That was the interesting thing is, Jimmy Webb said a great thing. He said, the music today is segregated. And what he meant was, when we were kids, he said, we only had 3 stations and they all played different music at the same time. Yeah. You could hear Ray Charles next to the Beatles, next to Ronettes, or next to Hoyt Axton or somebody of that era. And he said now everything's segregated, so you're not influenced. And I think that's the same thing with the musicians in that day. You had to listen to everything because you had to play everything. You had to know what everybody was talking about.
Do you play?
No, I didn't practice. I have a lesson in 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
On what?
Guitar.
Yeah?
I had a guitar hanging out, so why not? I got to get the 3rd chord down.
Are you going to, will there be a Q&A or anything at the show?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we'll do a Q&A.
No, what do they ask you?
Lyle Ritz is going to be there.
Is that right?
Lyle Ritz is going to be there with me, and he was one of the great bass players and phenomenal jazz ukulele player.
Oh,
but
yeah.
he did all this Sonny and Cher stuff. And go ahead.
What kind of questions do you get at these things?
A lot of the same as yourself, the curiosity. After they see the film, it's always, but, why hasn't it been released? Will there be a soundtrack? Did you,
Will there be a soundtrack?
There has to be.
There has to be.
There has to be. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
The question came up, why didn't they feel, why didn't they get paid? Or what was it, the question was, did they feel like they were being, I don't want to say the word screwed, but I guess I did.
Yeah. Because they didn't get royalties and stuff?
Yeah, but, my father said, I got paid very well, he said, and I never gave the guy back his $20 when he had a bomb.
Yeah.
So he said we made hundreds of hits, but we had thousands of bombs. Yeah. So everybody assumes, they should have had, well, if they created that lick and It's like, but you know what? That's what your job is. It's like you as a writer. You hold it out on an adjective because you're only getting paid so much.
Right.
I mean, that's your job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, all the information about the gig is either above or below this screen.
Excellent.
And hopefully everybody will be thinking,
lower third or upper third. We're not sure where.
Haven't decided.
Put it right here.
And hopefully everybody will be thinking of a good question for you.
Oh, please, yeah. See if you can stump me.